Last night, another former LCS champion fell out of the running for the title. We'll see if another legacy can be squashed with our series today. Fans were fired up to see Bjergsen and Parth compete in this best-of-5. What it doesn't seem to be phasing Clutch Gaming as Fevivin Solo and Apollo are in good spirits going into today's matchup. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the countdown where we've broken our
There
desk.
is so much hype today.
Within the first 30 seconds of the show. This is amazing. All right, well, for the next 30 minutes, we're going to attempt to fix this. We're going to say goodbye to another team and preview the day's matches until the timer reaches 0 and we jump into Champions League. The good news is we don't need notes.
We don't need a desk.
Oh, no. But you know what we got? We got Joel. Joel, come help us.
He'll fix it.
Maybe, we'll see. Yesterday, Team Liquid showed off their playmaking form by taking down Cloud9 in 3-0 fashion. That means they move on to the semifinals where they will be facing either 100 Thieves or Echo Fox based on dynamic seeding. Now, we'll know their opponent after the match today, TSM versus Clutch Gaming. But before we jump into that series, we have to give credit to Team Liquid's dominant quarterfinal.
Yeah, they had the 3-0. They did say it was one of the shakiest 3-0s they've been involved with because those games were actually pretty close throughout all of it. There was a 7,000 gold deficit in Game 1 that they won with double TPs. Pobelter had some really clutch team fights in Game 3 as Azir. Nice Tom Kench play by Ole down the stretch, but they pulled it together.
Jay, you know who was clutch? Joel was
He
clutch.
just fixed the desk.
Wait till you see this. It's like we have a brand new desk.
Was it even broken at all, or was that just an optical
Exactly.
illusion?
Maybe that was all movie magic. You're none the wiser. Let's continue talking about that series, though. Yesterday, Mark, give me your thoughts on Team Liquid's dominant performance.
Yeah, dominant is a weird way to put it.
Maybe that's not the right
word. It was
word.
a 3-0, and it was convincing. Like, you didn't leave that thinking maybe C9 was the better team, but they did have to do it in a way that you don't usually associate with 3-0s, where they had deficits for a large portion of that series, and they came back, and they demonstrated, like we said, clearly better macro, but they did lose a lot of the early games and fights.
Right, and to be fair, it's easy to give a pat on the back to a support that saves you or a huge disengaged ultimate, but sometimes a game-winning play is just a TP and several auto attacks, just to say, hey, we win. Well, and I'm helping. Yesterday, in Game 1 of the series, in a tense Elder standoff, Impact follows up Pobelter's split push to secure the win.
The minion wave is pushing on the top side here as well for TL, and they are just kind of moving around the map better. C9's got to start this.
Liquid playing a phenomenal endgame here, 44 minutes, and once again committing for it, and they're running up to the rest of the base right now as they're on the Nexus turrets, and suddenly Cloud9 realize they've got to bring Smoothie back in. Impact is here to go for the turrets.
Careful, Peter. They can only engage on you, okay?
Babe, I can't just go in. Swain can TP.
Yeah,
we just can cancel.
Yeah, we can cancel.
Right, and this is game.
Okay.
Cancel there.
Yo.
Guys, cancel top!
Hey,
You guys
I'm gonna go chase.
Yeah.
Should we suicide?
VN, guys, VN.
Okay.
We're gonna... I'll push you VN.
They're going through mid.
They're coming.
And you just auto, keep auto. Keep auto.
Yeah, nice.
Elder Dragon does not matter as the Nexus falls, and Game 1 goes to Team Liquid.
I mean, that was a close one,
Yeah.
if we're being honest. I mean, they got it. I'm actually impressed with how calm they were there in those final moments as the rest of C9 was finally getting back to try and defend it.
I like that throwback to Kobe's infamous call. Yeah, that was a pretty nice CP, and you heard how calm Pobelter was. I was surprised to hear him just be like, oh yeah, this is over. Just come up here. We'll end the game. All like it was just a walk in the park for him.
Yeah, it's nice to see, though, kind of that macro understanding for Team Liquid and finding their form and confidence even when operating from deficit.
Yeah, that was the most impressive thing from that game is they hadn't come back from a 20-minute deficit the entire split, then had a 7,000 gold deficit in that game where they calmly kind of split pushed their way to victory.
Of course, with their victory comes the departure of another team from the race to Miami, and it's time to say goodbye in RIP C9.
C9 still
memeing on the way
memes
out.
towards the very end of the season.
They're true to their identity, Jat. They are so true to their identity.
They got a whole offseason now for their brains to relax.
Very much so.
Going to be streaming a lot.
Brain check, brain check.
Be
Make
happy.
sure they got him in these 2 months.
Yeah, all honesty, this is another one of those teams. Jack already tweeted that they're not planning on making any roster changes. They want to try and give it another go. And they were a really good team for the majority of the split. I think a little bit surprised that they couldn't turn it back around at the end. They were. But I think the team did show a lot of good things this split and can continue to contend. It's just been 2 splits in a row now where they've fallen in the quarterfinals, so they'll have to fix that.
Yeah, very much so. Kind of a sting here at the end of the season. But Mark, if we kind of think towards that summer split, I mean, do you have confidence in holding the same 5 players over with Reaper at the helm that they can improve and finish better in summer split?
It's up in the air if they'll actually be able to do it, but I think they should stay together. Licorice being a rookie and the meta change that happened that clearly kind of disabled what was their best play style makes you think that there is a lot of reasons to be confident heading forward. It's just unfortunate with all those memes that they're spitting in the middle of the season that like some come back to bite them, like we lost the offseason, and then they all start quote retweeting it, and it's like, you're the ones reminding people of that initial storyline.
Right, that's the risk you take, right? Meme on meme, and it might come back to bite you. Looking at the series ahead, though, Clutch Gaming, they were 2-0 over TSM in the regular season, but that was before the 6-time LCS champs did what they seemingly always do and come together just in time.
Yeah, I mean, TSM did end the season on a really big winning streak, and we can compare them to Clutch as well, who they were actually trailing behind from pretty much the midseason point until the last day of the regular season. Then TSM goes 2-0 in tiebreakers, Clutch goes 0-2 in tiebreakers, and that's why we have this 3 seed versus the 6 seed now. And I think there are some individual players who also were beneficial in their rise.
Yeah, and I think the thing to look at the TSM graph is just from week 7, day 2, they had not lost since then. That's why, despite that divergence only happening in the tiebreakers, a lot of people do feel very confident about TSM. They were a team that struggled to gel a little bit, but people pointed to Bjergsen as kind of the foundation of TSM. He's synonymous with them, so when they're doing bad, people tend to tunnel on him. When they're doing great, once again, people tend to tunnel on him. But Sven also has had monstrous stats to back up Bjergsen and be the secondary threat on this team.
Yeah, Bjergsen's stats, even in just week 9, were insane, but that goes back to week 8 and some of week 7 as well. Then there was Sven, who turned his numbers on at the very end. So, like, the whole team started performing at an extremely high level, and that is just kind of etched into all of our brains and memories right now. And we're thinking, wow, this TSM team actually looked unstoppable down the stretch, because they didn't have an easy schedule in weeks 8 and 9, and they still were undefeated.
They still smashed, and those 2 players grabbing a couple all LCS honors, Bjergsen on the first team, Sven on the second team, but that is largely due to the run they made on the back half of the split and those stats that you saw there. If there's an opening, though, for Clutch Gaming to give TSM their first exit in NALCS history, the first earliest exit, rather, I should say, not official exit. How are they going to do it? Where do they attack?
I mean, they got to kind of do it how they did it previously in those games, which is they got Mike Young behind and kind of exploited his inexperience. Mike Young has been doing a lot better, especially since some of the changes that came into Tracker's Knives, but it is the obvious weak point on TSM here. All these other guys have been to Worlds. They've won titles. There's no way you can question these guys' ability to perform in clutch situations, but Mike Young is maybe a guy who you can get some of the inexperience out of him.
Yeah, and if you're trying to argue the clutch point, there are 2-1 against TSM in the regular season.
They got the winning record at the moment.
It felt like a much different TSM back in week 4 and 5, but that was still just a month ago. Yes, a lot can change, but there is still that chance.
All right, well, despite his experience in seasons before, Apollo feels the championship banner is within grasp for him and his team this year.
Especially on the LCS stage, I always see, TSM or CLG, they have those banners, even C9. And I guess I always thought that those were just kind of there and, like, not for me to get, right? It was just like, yeah, I never really felt like it was possible. But now that I feel like this team's, they're good enough, whether it be this split or like the next split, I think this team is definitely the potential to get that banner. Yeah, it'd be really amazing, and it's definitely reachable.
I mean, there's truth to it, right? And what better a way to do it? I think we said this a bit yesterday. You take down kind of the perennial finalists in TSM. That's how you kick off your playoff run to the title. I mean, there's no better way.
Yeah, and also looking at those banners, TSM is the last banner holder still in the playoffs. COD didn't make it. C9 was eliminated yesterday, so there's always that chance.
There you have it. Let's get a new winner here in the North American LCS. To hear more about this matchup, though, we're going to send it over to Captain Flowers, Kobe, and Zyrene, who will be bringing you the call.
Thank you very much, Dash. Throughout the end of the split, a lot of conversations around Clutch Gaming centered around their competition with what we've called the line.
Yeah, the line was kind of this infamous, line drawn in the sand where Clutch Gaming would beat the teams below them or, non-playoff teams. And then they would lose to all of the other playoff teams except for TSM.
Right.
And they actually defeated TSM 2-0 in the regular season until the tiebreaker game came around. But that is kind of a good sign for them coming into this. Even though they lost the most recent game, they have been able to take down TSM before. Plus, all of the eyes are definitely going to be on the 3-time European LCS champion in Febiven, and see how he does versus Bjergsen, because this guy has been a big part of the style that they play with. Scaling into late game team fighting, playing Azir, and being the reliable one for this guy.
And Bjergsen's absolutely been on fire. In his last 10 games, his scoreline is 44, 8, and 49. He's only died 8 times in those 10 games, and he has been racking up the kills.
He's definitely had an incredible performance for himself, and for the whole season, people were wondering when Reggie's vision of a Western super team would take effect, and the answer might be just in time.
Yeah, a lot of fans for TSM were incredibly nervous that they wouldn't even make playoffs, and I feel like even the TSM staff was kind of echoing those same sentiments.
Yeah, I mean, I was there with Reggie on the lounge stream, and he said that this was the most nervous that he has ever been as far as the regular season and trying to make playoffs with this squad.
All right, that's all from us here at the caster desk. We're going to toss it back to you, Dash.
Thank you all very much for that insight, but we don't really care about insight when we have the script right here. They thought they got rid of us yesterday. We were rudely cut off. But today, the producers will not silence us this time. So first up, I got a fun one for you guys. I've been saving this one. Afro Moose sleeves grab the attention of fashion designers around the world, sparking an international fashion sensation.
Yeah, and just like the actual merch line, they only have 4 copies available.
That's it.
The rest of the models
Get them while they're hot.
Oh, it's sold out again.
Yeah, oh no,
sold out. We're just driving. It's smart marketing, man. We're driving that demand.
One of these days, you'll be able to buy 100 Thieves merch for more than 2 hours.
Oh, God.
15 minutes.
Oh,
is what
God.
It actually was insane.
It'll be those sleeves. All right, Jao, what do you got for me? What have you found?
Yeah, so I got one on page 54. So there is trouble in TSM Paradise when Mithy breaks up his long-time partnership with Sven and decides to support Haunter. This was a surprise one to me.
Interesting move.
We thought lane swaps were gone, but I think TSM brings them back. There's more personal dynamics to go on here.
Are you more
stuff.
Are you more excited about the drama or the meta implications?
You know, that's what I was about to say. Like, what does a support top lane meta look like?
Can't I be excited for both?
Yeah, but like if you had to watch just TSM Legends or just gameplay as a
Don't let me dictate your happiness, Jat.
Yeah.
Don't let me. But I would love to
TSM
see.
Legends.
What do you think? Like a Malphite Bard?
Yeah,
that sounds terrible.
The first thing that came to my head was Malphite Bard.
Yeah, that's weird. I actually have one here for the game coming up, the series coming up. Clutch Gaming in the quarterfinals versus TSM. They're actually going to face a 2-hour delay because league officials are going to need to investigate a missed Hakuho Morgana binding.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah, that's not possible.
Yeah, the only reason they could come up with this, it's got to be a bug.
It must be. He's never missed. We heard from Meteos and Sneaky themselves that they have never once seen Hakuho miss a skill shot, and in particular his Morg binding. So no joke, it would take him at least 2 hours to figure that one out.
We're going to have to prepare a lot of memes for that 2-hour delay.
Yeah, you guys ready for that, pause?
I don't know.
All right, well, crap. Now we got some work to do. All right, here's another one. In an effort to guarantee their first championship, Liquid Steve buys the Miami Fillmore Theater and restricts entry of any team that is not Liquid in an attempt to win first through fourth by default. Can you believe that?
Bold move.
Can you believe that? I mean,
he's good. That's what I love about Steve. He's willing to go any distance to try and win. He'll do anything for his players, include buy stadium.
Gotta give him credit for that. But here's the deal. In actuality, it doesn't work because as I was trying to tell you yesterday, the winner will be, and look, I have to move quickly because I'm not gonna let the man cut me off this time around. After making the trip to Miami and defeating their opponents, all will agree that the series that go down in history is one of the greatest finals in history. Children will ask their parents, where were you when they won the 2018 Spring Finals? So without further ado, I'm telling you, the champions of this... We're stepping away. When we return, we'll get to play along with Jat Stats, and one of these two will have to share how Clutch Gaming take the series. All that and more after the break.
Going into playoffs, I think we are definitely the underdogs. You know, we had to convince everyone that we can compete with the top.
Devin, getting low. Lyra pulls him in again.
Mike dead.
I do think TSM, like, they're looking really strong, but we beat them before twice.
Clutch will silence the Doubters and take down TSM.
We have a good chance against them, and it would be really fun to take them out of playoffs because it'd be like the first time they've actually gone kicked out of playoffs.
I'm not really scared of Clutch. I think both of the times we lost to them, it was really on our own accord, and it was really obvious mistakes that we have 100% fixed since then.
TSM claimed the 3rd seed in playoffs.
They are not very proactive, so if the other team doesn't make a mistake, then they just get rolled over, and that's what's been happening against the top tier teams.
A complete tragedy in the pit for Clutch Gaming, and TSM get it all.
I think it showed in the tiebreaker that we played against them that we have the upper hand coming into this match.
It'll definitely be some David and Goliath story. TSM has the legacy of just always winning, even having their struggle this year.
The way that playoffs is different for TSM compared to other teams is just simply that we always make it to the final, and we usually win. And that's a legacy that I'm going to try to upkeep this split.
Welcome back to TSM versus Clutch Gaming. We're about 10 minutes away from Champions Select. Before we get into it, despite my best efforts, we could not leave this segment behind in the regular season. So here it is, once again, another Jat Stats.
Everyone's favorite.
All right, I did make
Can't
it
wait to
easier
look like a dummy.
for the playoffs. I actually think you guys have
You made
a
them
chance.
easier?
You have a chance of
This
getting all
is going to
three
make
today.
us look worse, though. You understand
Okay.
that, right?
First question is champion pool based.
All right.
The most picked AD carry for Clutch, and a hint, is TSM hasn't even played at this split. What's this AD carry?
Virus.
Well, there you go.
I don't know. I just yelled that.
Oh, you weren't confident
I didn't
on
really.
that?
I didn't think
You sounded confident on that, so I was
half
just
a life,
gonna-
James. That's
I was
half a
just gonna
life.
follow you on that
didn't
one.
think so.
I
What's it
walked
gonna be?
right off a cliff behind Mark just now.
Most picked for
You said
them?
Varus, right?
Yeah.
And TSM hasn't picked it.
TSM
Yeah,
hasn't
Varus.
picked
I
it.
just said it. I'm not thinking.
That's what he said. I'm
All right.
going with him.
TSM literally played Varus last week.
So it's Caitlyn.
It's Caitlyn.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I said.
That's not what you said.
that's what I
Dash,
said.
why'd you go with Mark?
I don't, because
Okay.
he's the analyst.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't think about that one. I just rattled off. We only have 8.5 minutes.
Question number
I'm not
2.
thinking.
Question number 2. Drake percentage question.
Ooh.
Which of these 4 teams, these are the 4 teams with the highest Drake percentage, actually have it? Let's get the multiple choice up here so I don't screw up the order in this. But it's teams that have the highest Drake percentage. Clutch, TSM. Trying to remember the other 2 because I want to see which ones they are. Which of these
That is
4
failing his own
teams?
segment.
Team Liquid
Here it is.
and 100 Thieves.
Okay.
Team Liquid's Drake control, I don't think was particularly impressive. I think TSM.
No, even Cloud9 picked up a fair number.
TSM,
in
even when
those
they were
games.
losing, Mike Young would like kill himself trying to get
Yeah,
those
I
dragons
think
on like
TSM's
Shiv
fine.
and stuff.
I could see Clutch just because, again, they had weak early games with low first blood percentages, so like you don't
Yeah.
have many
You wanna
opportunities to
split this
actually
one?
take the dragon.
You wanna
Do
split
you
it?
want to go? You want to go TL and I go Clutch?
No, I don't want to go TL.
Oh, you want to go Clutch?
I'd rather go TSM.
Oh, so you want to go what you think is right, and you want me to go something
Yeah,
that you
what
don't
do you
think
think?
is right.
I just don't
Well,
think
fair
Team
enough,
Liquid's
Mark.
right.
That's a game we can play.
Are you going to go
Fine.
with Mark this time or no?
So
go-
wait,
you
what
go
are you
first.
doing? What are you doing?
I'll go
I
whatever.
think it's Clutch.
All right, then you go Clutch.
I'm gonna go Clutch.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mark?
I'll go
100
100 Thieves.
Okay, I thought it's TSM. They
Oh,
actually have a 65.1%
Oh,
Drake
That's what
percentage.
I'm saying is TSM is
Wait!
pretty.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Wait, we talked
They take
ourselves
all
into the
dragons.
lowest.
Yeah.
The question was which is the highest, and we
Oh.
just talked ourselves into the lowest
Yeah.
percentage.
Oh,
That's
oh.
why I chose Clutch, is because we talked
Okay.
ourselves into. Oh my God!
This
we
one,
suck at
this one. If you are on Twitch or YouTube, spam the chat for this question because we're gonna do an Ask the
We
Audience now if
have
you guys
voting
We have
coming
technology.
from Twitch and YouTube.
Question right away. It has to do with jungle proximity for this one. Remember, viewers can vote on Twitch and YouTube.
Help us out.
Which jungler in playoffs has the highest jungle proximity? So these are the ones we haven't seen in playoffs today. So
Right.
we've got Mike Young and Lyra playing today. Dardock and Meteos playing next week. Which one essentially
Who has the
ganked
highest
the most?
jungle proximity? Not Mike Young.
No, not Mike Young. Dardock has a lot, but I always get confused because he has a higher opponent jungle proximity stat, but he also has a really high one.
And
in
remember-
response.
Again, I hope you guys are throwing your answers in chat to
Remember,
help us out.
jungle proximity is the percentage of time between 3 and 15 minutes the jungler spends with a teammate, essentially. So
Yes.
there's top jungle proximity, mid jungle
Woo!
proximity.
All right, here we
getting
go.
the
We
help
got
from
some
Twitch
live
chat.
updating numbers. People, Dardock and Meteos.
Yeah,
most
well, that
people
was
are going.
Highest
Makes-
JP
it
percentage.
does
So
make
you're
sense.
ganking the most.
People are calling the. Where's Meteos
People
going?
think
He goes
Meteos
bot.
gank
He
a
goes
lot.
bot a lot, but I
constantly?
don't remember him going top very much. Actually, some days jungle proximity was
Look,
higher than
I'm going to
top.
put my faith in the viewers, and I'm going to go with Meteos. I'm calling it now. It seems that he's running away with the vote, so I'm going Meteos.
Yeah, I'll go Meteos too.
I'm
Let's
trusting
blindly
all of you at
follow
home.
the
Don't screw
public
me on
opinion.
this.
It's Lyra. Yeah, Lyra has the highest.
It ain't that easy, is it?
I thought you were going to this week.
It ain't that easy, is it?
39.2% jungle proximity percentage.
Yeah, despite having some of the lowest first blood numbers.
He
as well.
ganks the most.
Ganks the most is the least
That's not a
successful
good
with
number.
it.
No.
Not a good number. All right, well, thank you very much for those humiliating stats. Thank you guys for your incorrect help. With the best of fives going down from here on out, there's a lot more that goes into each victory and defeat. So really, to test these two analysts, I'm bringing back over-under. Our first one, referencing today's series, is a question around Bjergsen for his deaths at 15. The over-under is going to be 0.5, and the context of that is that Bjergsen has only died once pre-15 in the entirety of the regular season.
Yeah, in 20 games.
So in 20 games, he's died once pre-15, and I'm putting the over-under at 0.5.
What are you saying?
Mark?
I'm saying over. I bet
over.
They have to kill him once.
Just once.
In 3 games. They know Bjergsen's important. I would hope that they go for some gank, even like game 3, they're down 2-0 or something, whatever it is. Just
if 20 teams had a chance to do it and one of them did, Clutch has 3 chances and they only get first blood in 20% of the games, it's under. He won't die before 15.
Oh, I like it. We got some dissension on the desk right off the bat.
Logic.
Jat's going under, Mark's going over, moving right along. Febivin's forward percentage. We are going to go ahead and throw the over-under for this series, again, this series, at 17.5.
Yeah, Febby has one of the lowest forward percentages. His average is actually 17.6% for the split.
So it's essentially, that's the line. We're creating the line.
It's the lowest in the league for mid laners. It's not a very nice stat. You actually want higher pressure. So the question is, will he exert more here? And I'm
going to say under.
I'm going to say over. I think he'll do more this series. They'll have to play more aggressive. They understand, I hope, that they're the underdogs here and that they can't play their kind of like sit-back reactive style that they did to beat a lot of the lower teams in the standings.
All right, another split vote. You're going over, you're going under on that one. We got one more left to look at. This is going to be total kills within the series. Now, obviously, this can be dependent on the number of games, so you're somewhat predicting how many you think we're going to see. I'm putting the over-under at 48.5. The context here is that there were 52 kills in C9 versus TL yesterday, 3 games. TSM, their average has been 11 per game, and Clutch Gaming's has been 8.5 per game through the regular season. If you want some kind of numbers context, if you just added those together, multiply by 3. Exactly. You kind of... Jat's going over. He says we're going to see some blood.
Mainly because if it goes more than 3 games, I think we're going over. Even if it goes 3 games, there's a chance that they're bloody games because of the way Warden
Yeah, you're just playing the math of it all.
I'm going under. I'm playing the math too. That they don't. Neither of those teams average 15 kills in a game, so you're going to get somewhere between 8.5 and 11. So that's way under. TSM's supposed to 3-0. I think is what the expectation is.
All right.
Why would this be a bloody game?
Clean games out of TSM. Winning in 3 means they're going to finish under. With 3 minutes left on the clock before the game, let's get some win conditions on the board. TSM, Jat. Let's go.
TSM Jet, here we go.
I've been following a lot of the social conversation around this game, and even listening to our conversations, we all have TSM as huge favorites.
Very much so.
There's a lot of reasons you could give like logical win conditions, but one thing I'll say is mindset-wise, they shouldn't buy into fan sentiment. And what I mean by this is don't expect to win, don't play not to lose. This is what they've done previously when everyone builds them up as the favorites. They need to keep that winning attitude where they have to take steps to win the game like they did in the last 3 weeks of the regular season. Play aggressive, make plays, take risks, because that's how they'll actually win. And if we're just going to give TSM the victory, that is disrespectful to what they actually have to do to win League of Legends. So
proactivity.
Kind of play like they did the last 3 weeks, but that is, in doing so, not expecting to win.
There you have it. What about for our 6th seed in Clutch Gaming, Mark?
Well, unfortunately, they actually need to have good, coherent strategies. They can't just, be like, let's be in the right mindset and we'll be better. For me, Clutch Gaming, the first thing they have to do is crush Mike Young. Not just beat him, don't just get a little lead, one more kill. You actually have to really take advantage of him. Yeah, you got to get his blue buffs, make sure you have the dragon control down, all this stuff, as well as upset a lane. I think across the board, TSM is favored in these lane matchups. Maybe not super dominant in mid, but you have to find one of these lanes to turn in your favor over the course of the series. So Apollo and Hakuho sometimes do counter picks in the bot lane. Maybe this means more attention in the mid lane for Lyra, actually grabbing some first bloods around there. Find one of these lanes to upset, because Bjerg and Sven are absolutely popping off in the second half of the split, and you need to find some way to stop that.
With just a little bit of time left, I want to talk about draft strategy here, because we saw yesterday, of course, C9 being rather stubborn, throwing all those picks towards the top lane, still banning out the tanks, but Haunter, Solo, these are 2 guys that have actually shown, know, the willingness to jump to things like that Gangplank.
Yeah, I think Gangplank is a top laner who can actually show a lot of priority here. Haunter is still undefeated on that pick. And interestingly enough, even though Solo's numbers aren't quite as good as Haunter, it has been a very good pick for Solo as well, even in that final tiebreaker game they played against C9. So a pretty high priority in that pick right here.
Big matchup in the top lane. Last thing to get out there is your guys' predictions. I have a feeling I know which way it's going, and it's going to be more about game score. So let's run through it. TSM versus Clutch Gaming.
Yeah, for me, TSM 3-0, the problem that we've seen highlighted by Clutch, even in their most recent weeks, they don't do very much on the map. They lost some games where Febi's literally sitting mid pushing as his bot lane's getting dove. You need to have a more proactive playstyle in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll be very surprised if Clutch Gaming wins this series. I'm going TSM 3-0, trying to get it accurate.
All right, another quick day being predicted here by the analysts at the desk. We'll see what the teams, though, bring out here in Game 1 of our best of 5. Time to throw it out to the Battle Arena. Guys, take it away.